The U.S. Justice Department has sent subpoenas to Nvidia and other companies seeking evidence that the chipmaker violated antitrust laws. This is according to people familiar with the investigation that our Bloomberg reporters have spoken to. We should point out we are still awaiting comment from Nvidia and the DOJ itself. Joining us right now is Ian King, Bloomberg News reporter covering the semiconductor space for us. Ian, talk to us a little bit about what it means when they say they're seeking evidence of antitrust violations. What exactly are they sort of hinting at?
Right. In this particular case, we've reported a while ago that there was questionnaires going out, that they were just sort of asking customers, asking competitors, what was going on in the market. The fact that this has gone to the subpoena stage, the legally enforceable request for information, is usually a sign of an escalation. In terms of what they might be looking for, things like bundling, things like taking action, perhaps punitive action against companies that don't use it exclusively, that perhaps look at other alternative suppliers, because as we know, Nvidia has a very, very tight control over the supply chain for a particularly important product at this point.
And when we talk about the DOJ making inquiries into these kinds of issues in the past, you and Leah Nyland reported that the U.S. opened antitrust investigations into both Microsoft and Nvidia. At the time, did we have a good sense of what it was specifically that they were looking into? Yeah, I mean, in general, every government, every regulator around the world is looking at AI as being not only extremely fast growing, but also extremely important with all kinds of economic and indeed security implications. So our understanding at the time was, there were things like Nvidia's purchase of a small AI startup. There was obviously Microsoft's relationship with OpenAI, that all of these things that, the sense was that regulators wanted to get ahead of this, didn't want anything to become too entrenched before they had a close look.
Let me ask you a kind of a dumb question, Ian, but when you say this idea that there's concern here that Nvidia is making it hard to switch to other suppliers or penalizing buyers that don't sort of use exclusively Nvidia's products, are there competing products out there, I mean, at least in mass, that these companies would even be able to go to?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question, Romain. I mean, clearly Nvidia is way ahead, but you've got to bear in mind, company like Amazon AWS, for example, and this is just an example, this doesn't have any relevance to our reporting, they do their own networking, they do their own servers. So Nvidia, as we know, supplies all of those things, networking, servers, and the chips itself. So what could be under investigation, and what we believe is under investigation, is the relationship, between the supply given to those that aren't exclusive users of its stuff. And of course, AMD is in the market as well with accelerators.
Ian, with your decades of experience covering semiconductors both in Asia and in the U.S., you've seen this happen before, where the government takes a closer look and starts sending subpoenas. How do you expect this? What do you expect is the next step? What will you be looking for in terms of how quickly this might move?
That is something that's difficult to say. What we can say is that clearly regulators are very keen to have a look at this particular area and to act quickly before it becomes entrenched, like we saw in the past with certain Microsoft products, like with Google Search. Years down the line, they start to take a look at it. This one feels much more on point and abrupt, and an effort to sort of get involved right at the beginnings almost of an industry.